Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my versus video between the Nike PG6 and the Adidas Harden Volume 6. So both of these shoes are top tier performers in my opinion. I absolutely love playing in both of the shoes, and they're both the 6th signature shoe for both of the athletes, Paul George and James Harden. The PG6 is quite cheap. It's going for 110 bucks. The Harden Volume 6 is going for 140 bucks or 150 bucks depending on the colorway, which is weird. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box, $40 price difference. But let's get started off with the Tracciones, and they're both top tier. If you're playing on a clean court, they both have amazing bites. You stop on a dime, it feels like you're playing on super glue, all the good stuff. So yeah, top tier tractions, amazing bite. Also, you don't really have to break in either of these shoes. They're both good to go pretty much right out the box. Also, on a dusty setting, they both pick up very minimal dust. And if it does pick up dust, which it doesn't really pick up that much, you just do a super easy and slight wipe in both of the shoes and you're good to go, and you have amazing stops again. So if you're playing on a dusty court, they're both great options as well. But on an outdoor court, I would say the Hardens are probably a little bit better. Right? I mean, the Hardens, yeah, the Hardens have harder rubber, and the PG6 feels a little bit more like pliable, right? It moves with the movement of like my finger a little bit more. So I feel like the Hardens would be better for outdoor use. So yeah, I guess the Hardens win in that aspect, but I play on an indoor court. So if you're playing on an indoor court, they're both amazing top tiers tied up there. Alright, moving on to the heel to toe transition, they're both good, but I would say I like the PG6 a tiny bit more. I prefer a little bit more of a smoother ride instead of like a more rigid ride, which, there's some people that prefer that as well, which is, it's not a right or wrong thing, it's just whatever you prefer. But here in the PG6, we have an exposed, pretty much fully exposed foam right here in the back of the heel. We have nice compression, it's a rounded shape, and then here in the forefoot, nice rounded shape and nice forefoot flex, which I like. And also we have nice bounce here in the heel. In the Hardens, however, it's more caged. I mean, it still has a little bit of compression, but it's definitely stiffer than the PG6 as far as the overall midsole goes. It is a rounded shape, which I like. And then here in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape and a good amount of forefoot flex as well. But because of the heel, I would say I like the PG6 just a tiny bit better. It's just me nitpicking, honestly. They're both really nice and very, very smooth, right? But the Hardens are a little bit more, just a tiny bit more stiff here in the forefoot. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So they're both nice and responsive cushioning setups, but they are a little bit different, right? So the PG6 uses full length React, which I really like. So here in the heel, we have a nice soft compression, but also when you're like running down the court doing heel dominant strides, you have a nice like bounce and rebound back, especially here in the heel, right? Also, the PG6 has amazing court feel, right? But the father of all amazing court feels is the Hardens. If you want amazing freaking court feel and you want to be like pretty much right on top of the ground, the Hardens are the shoe to get. But like I said, the PG6 is still absolutely amazing for court feel. If you're doing hard impacts, I mean impact protection, I would say they're both good, but the PG6 is just a tiny bit better just because the foam is thicker, of course, and you have a little bit more compression, especially from like the actual midsole, right? So I do like that a little bit better about the PG6 than the Hardens. The Hardens, of course, we have a little like less compression because of the cage, and the boost is thinner. So if you're doing hard impacts, the PG6 is a little bit better. Also for step and comfort, they're both nice. I would actually say the Hardens feel just a tiny bit softer because of the softer strobo board, but the PG6 is still nice for step and comfort. So yeah, I mean, I guess for me, in my personal opinion, I like the PG6 better just because the court feel is still really, really good, but you get that extra like a cushion, you know what I mean? It's like softer, you get that nice bounce, you get more compression, especially in the heel. So I like that. But of course, the Hardens are still nice. It's still soft, you still get a little bit of compression, but the court feel is better. But I don't think that warrants it being nicer in my personal opinion, just because like I keep saying, it's still good for court feel in the PG6. So there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the materials. So it's very different, right? So the Hardens, you definitely need to break in the materials. It's super stiff, especially when you get it at first, but it definitely does break in. It gets a lot softer, and it doesn't take that long to break in either. It's just like a couple days and you're good to go, right? But it's definitely a lot more supportive. And also, it's still way stiffer than the PGs. Look at that, as opposed to this, right? As far as the thickness goes, yeah, the PG6 is thinner. So I mean, I still like the Harden Volume 6 material. It doesn't feel cumbersome. It doesn't feel like super stiff or uncomfortable. There wasn't really any pinching either. It's just a different feel. You know what I mean? So if you want the more like supportive material, then obviously go with the Hardens. If you want the softer, more like, I guess, comfortable material, then go with the PG6. Also, it's a little bit more cozy just because the tongue is thicker. You know, there's more foam and more padding here for the tongue as opposed to the Harden 6. And then here in the ankle area, the PG6 is actually pretty minimal for padding, but then the Hardens, you have crazy Achilles pillows. You got 6 of them. So that definitely does feel nice in the ankle area, right? So I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just what you prefer, right? So in my personal preference, I like the PG6 just because I like a thinner, more comfortable material. But like I said, the Harden 6 is still nice. Also for quality though, I would say I like the PG6 a tiny bit better. I like the textile. This is like, I don't even know what this is. It seems like a synthetic leather or something, right? Or a synthetic suede. Right? And you can definitely see, like, do not get a light colorway in the Hardens. Like, it gets super dirty, right? And it's very hard to like wipe off. And this shoe is like what, $30–40 more expensive than the PG6. So that's kind of crazy. But anyways, there's the materials there. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size for both of the shoes, and they both fit me pretty damn well. But I like the PG6 just a tiny bit more because of the more narrow fit, right? So lengthwise, I was good to go, right? My toes go pretty much right to the edge of both of the shoes. But widthwise, the Hardens are just a tiny bit wider. So if you have a wide foot, the Hardens are a little bit better for you. As far as the toe space go, they're both quite snug. Definitely the PG6 starts off a lot more snug, but then this textile material does stretch out and get roomier as far as the toe box goes. The Hardens don't really stretch out all too much, right? So as far as the toe box, it's pretty similar. It's like more on the snug side of things. It's not super snug like the KD like 14 or 13, but it's still a nice snug fit. So because of the width, I would say I like the PG6 just a tiny bit better, but of course, I still like and enjoy the fit in the Hardens, but like if you have a wider foot, it'll probably be a better option for you. All right, moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, Hardens are way better. Hardens are a super supportive shoe. Like this material is super supportive, right? Not only the material, but also you have like these like fused bubble things. I like to call them little bubbles, right? And then also we have the cage coming up to act as a sidewall like in multiple places in the forefoot, midfoot, and heel. And there is an internal TPU heel counter. So this is a super supportive shoe, especially for being like a low top shoe, right? So it's like one of the most supportive shoes that you can get, especially for lateral containment. The PG6 is still nice, and I didn't have like any crazy bad issues. I can definitely deal with it, but this material just isn't as supportive, right? So it kind of like rolls over on itself just a tiny bit, especially when I'm doing really hard cuts and like crossovers and lateral movements. So yeah, it's more supportive here in the Harden Volume 6. As far as the lateral stability goes, the Hardens are a lot wider if I remember. Yeah. Actually no, that's very surprising. Because usually the Hardens are super wide, you know what I mean? Like Adidas makes very wide and low bases, so I'm very surprised to see that the PG6 is pretty much the same width. But either way, I didn't have any lateral instability issues for either of these shoes, so there's that. All right, moving on to the weight. I mean, obviously the PG6 is way lighter. The Hardens are super heavy, so yeah, 12.17 ounces. The PG6 is way lighter. The Hardens are like 13, 14. 15 ounces, guys. So yeah, definitely there is a pretty big weight difference. So that definitely does suck. I do like a more minimal feeling shoe. I mean, weight isn't a huge issue for me, like the actual number. Like I don't really care about the number all too much as long as it feels responsive. And the Hardens feel very responsive. You know, you're super low to the ground, great cushioning setup, supportive shoe, traction is absolutely amazing. So I feel really quick when I'm playing in the Hardens. It's just the PG6 definitely does feel lighter, you know what I mean? So of course, in the Hardens, I don't think weight is that big of an issue because of how responsive you feel. It's just PGs definitely feel a lot lighter. Alright, moving on to the ventilation. Yeah, PG6 is way better. There's really no airflow through this material at all. And it's thicker. Through its textile, there's definitely a little bit of airflow. So yeah, PG6 is a little bit, or a lot better for ventilation. Alright, as far as the aesthetics go, I like the PG6. Amazing looking shoe. The colorways that are coming out are amazing as well. The Harden still look pretty dope. But in my personal opinion, I think I like the PG6 better. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up. So here's what I'm gonna say. If you want to save money, the PG6 is absolutely amazing. I feel like most people will enjoy it, unless you want like absolutely amazing support. Then you probably won't like it as much, but I feel like most people will love the PG6, right? But if you want the more supportive shoe, if you also want the wider shoe, then the Harden is still a great option. It is more expensive though, $30 to $40 more expensive, which definitely does suck. But yeah, the Hardens are still a banger, and you definitely should not sleep on them. In my personal opinion, I like the PG6 a little bit more. Just because it is lighter. I like the cushioning setup a little bit better, and the lateral containment, like support, it's not really an issue, but like I didn't really experience anything major, so that's why I will pick the PG6 over the Harden Volume 6, and also it's cheaper. You know what I mean? But like I said, this is still in my rotation. The Harden Volume 6 is still heavily in my rotation. I still really enjoy playing in it. I hate how dirty this shoe got. I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but it's so dirty now. Everyone steps on my shoes, man. It definitely sucks. But so yeah, I mean, I would recommend the PG6 to most people. But if you want the overall more like supportive shoe, and I guess like lower to the ground shoe, and then definitely pick the Harden Volume 6. But anyways, that about concludes this video. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.